Welcome to the Wisdom Well podcast.
Woo!
I am Larry,
I am LJ.
and we are excited about today. I think
Yes.
today is going to be a really, really great time. We want to talk a little bit about creatively speaking.
Woo! Yeah.
So obviously, as two creatives, I get the chance to pick the brain of one of the greatest people in the world.
I
But
don't know about that, but
oh yeah, no, I'm sticking with that story.
yeah.
But also, too, you guys know it. You guys have
Yeah.
been watching, and we're so excited, and we're grateful to you
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you are the creatives that actually inspire us too,
Mhm,
and that's why
mhm.
we're even doing this. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah.
subscribing. Thank you for sharing it
Yes.
with your friends. Thank you
Yes.
for being with us here for the tough conversations
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
funny
yeah.
ones, and so
Uh-huh.
we're excited. So LJ, come on, what else do you got to say
Man,
to?
this was a great topic because we wanted to shed some light on
Yeah,
our creatives, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And talk about like breaking down how to be creative and
Mhm.
navigating that with
Creatively
all
speaking.
yeah, with all of the pressures as being a creative, whether
Yeah.
you're a
Oh my
songwriter,
gosh.
a musician, like
Yeah.
how are we navigating,
How do you
being a
stay?
creative and
Yeah.
getting your art out and
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
and what does that look like? And so for me, I've been playing drums for I say 30 years. I started when I was 10,
hmm
and
Yeah. Break it down. Give us a little
I'm
background of
40. I'm 40 now.
40 where?
Bruh, 40 feels. I'm 42. but 42 feels tough.
Oh
It
man.
feels hard.
42
Back be
is
hurting, you know what I'm saying? Like,
your
it's
knee,
crazy.
your little.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I think 40 is also when the eyesight does something different.
Me and AJ was
Yeah.
just talking
Yeah.
about that.
I
Like,
feel like the day I turned 40, it was
your
like
eyesight?
my prescription got like crazy.
Really?
So yeah. So I've always worn
I
glasses,
was
but
literally just telling AJ, like, I feel so blessed because I can really hear well and I can
Mhm.
see well. And
Um,
in our career, man, like to be having your good eyesight in the ears is like, that's crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about
Yeah.
being creative and what that looks like.
So you were saying you've been playing for quite some time.
Yeah,
You started. Can you tell us a little bit about like little LJ?
little LJ wanted to play basketball,
Okay.
which is very interesting. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to be a hooper. Like I loved
That's
Chicago
awesome.
Bulls from Michael Jordan, and I loved to watch Vince Carter and AI and Kobe, who
Yeah.
was my
Yeah.
favorite player. So to want to or transitioning, I should say, into drums was a different.
Yeah.
That was different for my family. Like no other musicians, are in my family at
Okay. Oh
all.
wow.
My sister sung in the choirs and did choir things, but
Yeah.
like my family is full of athletes,
Yeah.
from basketball player, football players. Like we didn't really have so to want to play drums
Mm-hmm.
was a different thing in my family.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't a thing. That it just
Yeah.
like you want to be a musician. Oh, okay, all right. But I felt like my mom, God rest her lovely spirit, she wanted
Yeah.
me to stay closer to church,
Mm.
and I think being a creative, that's where a lot of my creativity starts.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
when
that's
that's when
powerful.
I really learned like feeling things
Yeah. Yeah.
and how powerful music could really be,
Yeah.
and how if you are in tune with yourself and you're allowing your emotions and your spirit and your intuition to speak, a lot of good things could come out of that,
Mm.
if you're just in tune with yourself. And
Yeah.
that's the beginning of my creativity. Like whenever I want to produce, or whenever, I'm thinking about the next project that I want to
Yeah.
start, how does it make me feel first and
Yeah.
foremost?
Yeah.
Like, does this song resonate with me?
Yeah.
What I'm playing, does that make me feel something?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm creating a course right now to help, people learn how to play drums online.
Yeah. Oh,
How does
that's
that?
powerful.
Yeah, yeah. It's called GrooveHero.com.
That's
It's
incredible.
coming out. I can't wait to share this with y'all.
Yeah.
It's a project that I've been working on for so long now. It seems like I've just been working on this project, but
But great things come
y-
to those who wait, and
yeah,
and
man.
sometimes
Yeah,
it just means it's a greater and more rare fruit. That
yeah.
longer that it takes.
And if I'm being completely honest, um, I didn't think it was gonna go well. I didn't think
Okay.
this idea was gonna work, mainly because you know, we talked about people pleasing in an
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
I was like, oh man, people are gonna think I'm whack trying to teach people how to play drums. You know what I mean?
No.
You know, like you feel kind of like, oh man, I'm giving up on the touring thing, or I'm giving up on, you know, playing with big named artists and things like that. But talking about how in your creative space and what moves you, I
Mm,
felt like giving back was more valuable.
yeah,
I remember as a kid not having drum lessons
yeah,
because we couldn't afford it.
yeah.
You know, not
Wow.
having someone to sit down and teach me, oh, this is what a double feels like, or
Hmm.
this is how you do a triplet over the feel, and this is what this, you know, like I didn't have the
Yeah.
proper instruction to
Hmm.
learn how to play drums properly. So I just went by vision. I just went by, you know,
That's
watching, you know,
incredible.
shows or just listening to a bunch of gospel records,
Yeah,
you
I was
know?
gonna ask you like your sort of you know, your process in developing the
Hmm.
skill.
Hmm.
Like how did like your mom call up the local, you know, your drummer that was like that was serving on staff, or
No,
did you just sort of pick up? You just
no.
started. You said that you were listening to. I won't put words in your
No, no,
mouth.
no, no. Yeah, no. My,
Hmm.
my mom was very attentive to me.
Absolutely.
So when I would be at church and I'd be staring at the drums, and then I could,
Mm.
you know, over time I didn't know what she was doing at the time, but we'd get closer to the drums,
Yeah.
a little
How
closer.
old were you?
I was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8,
That's
something
amazing.
like
That's
that. You know what I
amazing.
mean? So like she would get
Yeah.
me close, like she was paying attention to me,
Yeah. She's
and she
watching you
could see that, oh, his attention is here. But as long as he ain't out there, I'd rather have him
inside the
in
house.
here and
Yeah.
growing, and she was cultivating me
Yeah.
without me knowing
That's
really. You know what I
awesome.
mean? And yeah, I didn't learn how to read music until probably after high school, you know?
Okay. Okay.
But I was just so captivated by drums, like
Yeah. Yeah.
just seeing people sweat. You know what I'm saying? Like these dudes were sweating, and one of my favorite drummers, Liddell Abrams, used to play for this gospel artist named John P. Key. If
Wow.
anyone has ever heard of John P. Key, that is how I learned, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He had these gloves on, he had these big hoop earrings, and I
Ooh.
wanted to be like this cat so bad. Like how he played, how his groove was. It was incredible. It was
Yeah.
something that I've never ever seen. And then after that season is when I met my best friend till this day, Tony Burgess,
Wow.
outside of you. White kid, long hair.
Yeah.
He was like my best friend,
Mhm.
still is. And he brought me into like rock and roll and
Whoa.
corn, and you know, if any of my corn fans
Oh
out there,
yeah. Come
or
on.
Pantera. I don't know if you ever heard of the
Yeah.
band
Yeah.
called Pantera.
Yeah.
This rock and roll band. Like I know AJ. I know you've heard of Pantera. Like and then he opened up a whole new, you know, can of worms of
Yeah.
like musicianship,
Wow.
and so I just like my creative beginning started with just me like feeling something and being affected, like how Pantera made me feel, or how Korn made me feel,
Yeah.
or how John P. Key made me feel, and then I got into Dave Weckl and fusion. So,
Yeah.
you know, your creative process should start with how does it make you feel?
Yeah. And that's
Not,
a through line for you. You know, I
mm-hmm,
think because I always like, you know, just knowing you
yeah.
in the I've been graced with the
Oh,
privilege of
come on,
knowing
man.
you for as long, you know, for about over 10 years. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
and that's literally the first thing that I noticed about you as a drummer. And we always joke, like,
yeah.
you're not just, you don't just keep
Right.
time,
Yeah.
you feel it with
Mm-hmm.
the spirit through
Yeah.
your feeling, you know,
Yeah.
and you are so sensitive. And I think that's just, I think that's just such a great skill. You can't teach that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't, you can teach someone, you know, a triple ed
Yeah.
or like you
Yeah.
said, just or a certain time signature. You can teach people how to move within,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't teach people to feel
Mm.
and to feel space. And I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest things about, I think you've talked about this
Mm-hmm.
before, is understanding where the space is.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
when to not play.
Yeah. There is a creative balance
Yeah.
when you are amongst other players. There's a language that's going on. There's a
Mhm.
conversation that's
Yeah.
happening. You know, if
Yeah.
AJ's playing bass and I'm playing drums,
Hmm.
we both have, you know, really important jobs, and we got to
Yeah.
listen to each other.
Yeah.
And then you being the great singer that you are, I
I
don't want to
appreciate
step
that.
over your toes too.
Hmm.
One of my, you know, good friends and big brothers who taught me a lot. I learned how to play drums from a singer. I didn't
Oh,
learn
that's
how to play
incredible.
drums from another drummer.
Wow.
Rodney Raines, I love you. I know you're watching this. So his name is Rodney Raines from Fayetteville, North Carolina. He gave me
Thank you, Rodney.
yeah.
I'll tell you for the gift of this guy. Thank you.
He is my big brother.
Yeah.
And he will talk a lot about pocket.
Yeah.
Now, when you're
Oh,
a
yeah.
young musician, you don't really understand what that
What
means.
the pocket is.
And he would always say, "I can't sing and you play," and it took a while for that to
Wow.
process. It took a while for that to really sink in.
Woo.
Like, I can't overplay, and then he tried to sing.
Yeah.
Like, one of us
Has to.
has to, and then you start to understand your job as a drummer.
Yeah.
You start to understand your job as
Yeah.
the rock of the band.
Yeah.
Like, AJ's gonna have his time to speak. You know, the guitar is gonna have. Everyone's gonna have their moments in their spots.
Yeah.
But the lead needs to have as much space as humanly possible
Yeah.
to be able to stretch, to be able to grow a song, to be able to bring down a song. And so as you mature in your craft, you know, it's about understanding and listening and being sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the thing that's missing in today's musicians.
Sensitivity.
Like, they don't listen, bro. Like,
Yeah.
they want to get all of their ideas out,
Mm.
and the setting isn't right for that.
Yeah.
You know, like, the
Yeah.
setting sometimes calls for just a bass solo or the line to be heard.
Mhm.
And you're a very I've worked with you so much.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know
You
kind
do.
of how you flow.
You do.
You can fit around things, but you're best in those spaces too, when you just have that space to stretch.
Yeah.
I don't want to overstep that for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be over you as you're trying to sing. So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
And I've seen you drive, like when you need to drive.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've seen you, stay in because actually we had the privilege I had the privilege of serving with you.
Yes,
And
yes. My privilege,
and it was just
bro. My privilege.
so amazing, just
Yeah.
like singing and then having where I'm going.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm building
Yeah.
and I'm listening, to not only just the people or the band
Yeah.
and the music. I'm listening to the spirit that's in the room too.
And you just said
Yeah.
a key word, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the job of a drummer, right? Like, you may want to grow the song
Yeah.
or go a different direction with the song, and I need to make sure, like, you're covered no matter where we go.
Yeah, you do
You
that
know,
so well.
especially in the faith space, like the way we grew up, man. You could sing about 10 choruses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or, you could do the intro 10 times
Yeah.
before you get to
Yeah.
a verse.
You might need to linger.
Yeah, you might need to
just
linger
stay
in a
there.
section, right? Like,
Exactly.
that is that is growing your ability to be sensitive and
Absolutely.
to listen to
Yeah.
where does he want to go.
Mhm.
And sometimes, you could be wrong,
Yeah.
if you try to
Yeah.
cover too much, but
Exactly.
just paying attention to the lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he wants to, he may feel this section, so let me bring it down, or
Yeah.
he may want more energy in this section, let me bring it up. So yeah, I mean, that is, I think that's a missing trait in a lot of musicians
Yeah,
that I
that's
see. They don't have that feel, that sensitivity to
Yeah.
the music that's being played. They just want to play. They just want to,
Just
like,
wanna
yo,
play.
I rehearsed this lick. I just want to get this out.
Exactly.
But it may not be that time for
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah.
you may be in the middle of doing something so powerful,
Yeah.
and something that could be life changing or earth shattering, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I'm stepping all over that, you don't get that opportunity.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and we're a brotherhood and a sisterhood in this thing as a band. You
Yeah.
know, we are leaning on each other. I'm leaning on AJ to play bass. I'm leaning on this person to play guitar.
Yeah.
I'm leaning on the keys. I'm leaning on the MD to maybe guide me, but not he can't do all the jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being a solid rock as a
Yeah.
musician, as a drummer, but being sensitive, that's the golden. That's the golden
That's
goose, bro.
huge.
That's the golden goose.
And then can I ask you, what are maybe two
I like this interview.
yeah, exactly.
This is a
'Cause I-
vibe.
'cause it is,
I'm
it
doing-
is.
This is good on my own podcast. I like this. Ooh.
What are you've had the privilege of working with so many different types of people
Mhm.
and different levels, of people, and you've toured. And I know that there are probably so many people that are wanting to get into it, or they
Yeah.
want to expand
Yeah.
their abilities as maybe touring artists, or even just maybe local, just
Mhm.
really to lock up, their city. Or
Mm.
what do you feel like are two things, or
Wow.
if it's
Wow.
more, or two traits that you would start with, or what would starting?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm creating this course
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is going to explain a lot of this in depth.
Hmm.
But um I have a story. I wanted to play at this club here in LA. I moved here in LA in 2006.
Okay.
And I was told you got to go to all the jam sessions. That was what I was told. Okay, I'm
Hmm.
gonna try to figure out how to go to all these jam sessions, right? And I'm living with my roommate and my best friend Tony. I said, Tony, let me use the car, man. I don't know where I'm going. He let me use his car. I drive out to Pasadena to a club that I heard about called Red, White, and Blue Jazz, out hosted by Byron
Oh,
Miller.
okay.
Paul Jackson Jr. was on guitar the night I went, and then who later became a good friend of mine and somebody I could talk to, Teddy Campbell.
Mm.
And Teddy Campbell was so gracious enough to let me play that night. It was so wild, and Teddy Campbell, he's an amazing musician,
Wow.
amazing
Yes, he
singer,
is. Yes, he
amazing
is.
drummer. He's been on everything you can think of,
Yeah.
but one of the sweetest dudes I've ever met.
Hmm.
And I don't even know if he remembers the story, but he let me play. We bear through the song, and then he was like, "Oh man, I love your pocket, I love your feel,
That's great.
but you got to learn these choruses." And he said that
Mm.
in a way that was so nice and sweet.
Wow.
And if I could give any advice to any musician,
Hmm.
learn the music,
Okay.
learn the songs,
Yeah.
learn how to play the
Yeah.
songs. If
Yeah.
you can learn the choruses, the bridges, if you can learn the horn sections, if you can learn what the vocals are doing, if you can take the time to really learn the music in the
Hmm.
song
Hmm.
and give the song what it requires,
Yeah.
that will take you further than you would ever imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
that would be my first advice.
Okay.
My second advice is kind of like the first: be prepared. Be
Mm.
prepared and be flexible.
Yeah.
Like when you're on the
I
road
love
with a
that.
bunch of people, you got to be flexible.
Yeah.
You got to be able to, they may call a lot of audibles.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
may want to call. We're going to take this chorus out and add another verse here. You got to
Yeah.
be ready to do that.
Yeah.
And if you're prepared, I'm good. I can
Yeah.
take whatever you throw at me.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good.
there's times where we have late nights and early mornings. You
I
got to.
was literally going to ask you that. Like, what's a typical, and there are no typical. We
You're
know there's
right.
no
Yeah.
typical.
Yeah.
Like the typical length of your sessions in preparation for these tours, or preparation for maybe a one-off show.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what is some typical preparation time that you can see for yourself, both before the rehearsal and
Mhm.
during the
I
rehearsal?
mean, you should be practicing daily. I think I talked
Okay.
about you, like, what's
Yeah.
your vocal work? You say,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I work my voice all the time,
Hmm.
right? Like that is part of my daily routine.
Yeah.
I'm practicing. I'm doing warm ups. I'm practicing daily.
Yeah.
That is the non-negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care whether it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, if I'm just reviewing music or just going over sections.
Yeah.
I am practicing daily, and then I'm tackling whatever I need to tackle for the day. Let's say you say, okay, cool, I got 3 songs to learn by Wednesday.
Yep.
I'm going to start the Wednesday prior. I'm going on the road for a month. I know it's going to be a long month. We're doing a bunch of songs. I need to be prepared weeks in advance.
Yeah.
I need to make sure my hands and my foot are good. Taking
Mhm.
care of your body health wise, make sure you're stretching.
Yeah.
Like little things. Like it's on when you're on the road for so long and you're
Mhm.
on a bunch of planes and hotels.
Yep.
It's really important that you're taking care of your body, that
Absolutely.
you're there physically, that you're there spiritually, that you're checking in with your family and
Yeah.
and your significant others, right? Like you got to be good so that you can
Yeah.
perform the best.
Absolutely.
So I just think it's important that you're taking care of yourself
Mhm.
first and foremost. But being prepared. Those are my top 2 things. Like,
Yeah.
learn the music and be prepared.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
prepared to make adjustments. Be prepared to be up late, canceled flights. There's tons of stuff that
Yeah.
you're gonna have to. Hotels aren't ready when you get there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff that you got to be prepared for.
Yeah.
But be flexible and know, like, I'm serving a higher purpose. This isn't about me. This is about a higher purpose.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that's fantastic. And I wanted to ask you, like what's, the nitty gritty. Like what is,
Uh-oh.
this is crazy. What's the longest rehearsal that you've ever been in? I'm curious,
Ooh,
like where y'all
ooh,
were like in the thick of it.
ooh.
Maybe you could, I mean, you don't have to say
Oh
names,
my
but you could just say
goodness.
what was like where it was just like this
Ah.
was the work, but it was worth it obviously, but this was like a new level that you would feel like, oh man,
You know what? Not. I can't believe I'm getting ready to say this. Probably, I had the honor of MDing and co-MDing with my good friend Lance,
okay.
Michelle Williams.
Oh wow. Okay.
And Lance Tolbert, if you ever, if
I love this guy.
this Lance is one of the most magical person I think
Yeah, he is.
I've
He
ever
really
met.
is.
But we got the opportunity to MD Michelle Williams of Destiny's
Hmm.
Child, and
Oh yeah, we love
uh,
her. Shout
we
out to you, Michelle.
yeah,
We love you.
Michelle, we love you. I miss you. She had pretty not difficult, but we had a lot of color we wanted to add
Hmm.
to. She's a very creative person, so
Yep.
we wanted to add a lot of color to her music that she
Okay.
wanted. Um, and Lance and I, the way we both work is we like to get in there and work.
Hmm.
So before we would even bring her in, we will be in the rehearsal for at least 4 hours,
Wow.
maybe take a break, and then bring her in for another 3 hours and give her as much freedom as she wanted. So,
That's
I mean,
amazing.
an 8 hour rehearsal or an all day
Yeah.
rehearsal is pretty common. I
Yeah.
know when I had the opportunity to play with CeeLo, shout out to Keith Harris for that opportunity. Um, can I add a third one?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Please. Uh, what is it called? When you're talking with other people,
Networking.
networking.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be the other
The other
third
one,
person,
networking.
because a lot of the gigs,
Relationships.
relationships. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. A lot of the good gigs that I've really gotten is through relationships,
Wow.
through homies, through homeboys
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
homegirls that was like, hey, there's an opportunity for you. Hey, I thought about you with this opportunity.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard about this thing going on. Like, go check it out. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
your relationship in this industry is your
Key.
relationships in this industry is very, very, very important.
It's true.
You
It's
know what I
true.
mean?
It's
Because
true.
those people could really give you a gig,
Yeah.
and those people cannot also give you a
Yeah.
gig
And
too.
one thing I learned just to support this
Yeah,
this point that you're making
yeah,
is someone told me that the music or the music industry is like almost like a wheel. And so sometimes you're on top of that wheel
yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes you're at the bottom of that
Sure.
wheel. And so as you're sort of going through the revolution of that wheel,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to make sure that you're encouraging and that you're
Mm-hmm.
loving on people
Mm-hmm.
because those people who are perceived at the bottom,
We'll be at the top
that
soon.
wheel is going to roll around and
Yeah.
they'll be in order to continue rolling in
It,
this
it, it,
process.
and that's a two
Yeah.
part. That's a two-part thought for me.
Yeah.
There you win some gigs and you lose some gigs.
Yeah, that's true.
That is part of it.
Yeah.
But you said this not even a week ago, I think now. Learning that music doesn't define who I am.
Exactly. Exactly.
What I do
Yeah.
doesn't define who I am.
Yeah.
It's what I do. And
Yeah.
I do that well. I do that with professionalism.
Yeah.
And I do that when I'm at the top or at the bottom.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether I just got the hottest gig or I just lost the hottest
Yeah.
gig, perceived, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Because
who
that'll
I
happen. That'll happen too.
all day long.
You'll get the greatest gig in the world, and then
Your
you'll
favorite
move forward
musician
from
has been
that.
fired before. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Or
wow.
or left a project, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's times where we just don't stay on a certain project forever.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like, that is just it's just not how music works. There are some low seasons in music
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's some high seasons in music where you're like, I'm on top of the world, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no one can touch me.
Yeah.
But in all of those seasons, it doesn't define
It doesn't define
who
you.
I am.
And I think that's really beautiful how you've said that because that's how you've navigated.
Mhm.
That's how you've
Mhm.
moved forward and continued to grow and to continue to get other opportunities.
Yeah.
It's because you know that the greater is still ahead of you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
even though, and just because, and I remember, I think, like I remember there's a season when you lose an opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a moment of just really of feeling low about
Yes,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I felt personally I had to kind of really dig deep into
Mhm.
my sort of spiritual bag
Yeah.
and like in my heart bag
Yeah.
to really get the nugget that that was the end of that contract. That wasn't, or that end of that opportunity.
Yeah.
That was not the end of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think that that's like a powerful thing when we're talking about, because
Mm.
one of our spokes of just desire to really make impact in is mental health,
Yes.
for
Yep.
specifically for creatives.
Mhm.
And I think that's what you're tapping on here, is like understanding from from the beginning of you taking that opportunity,
Mhm.
that this is a season, this is a chapter, this
Yeah.
is a story, this is one of many
A
stories that's
learning
being created,
lesson.
a learning lesson. And it's and also too, here's the other thing, is
Wrote
that
it.
you
Oh,
don't even know. And oh man, like you gotta obviously, when you step forward, you have to know that your greatest is still ahead of you, because
yes.
sometimes, yeah, the relationship will end,
Mhm.
but it might make way for a door that's in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like small doors too.
Very much
Like,
so.
yeah, you may have been, at a small little that one
Mhm.
opportunity where that gentleman told you, but now y'all are friends
Yes.
now, and y'all are like, and y'all have that story ahead. And
Mhm.
so, I've had moments where like I was, in a part of a writing camp
Mhm.
that was just, it seemed so minuscule, and it seemed at the time
And it's
like
not.
a very, fly by night connection, but then it turned into an opportunity to serve that will be in this space.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes 5, 10, sometimes even, and now I'm old enough, because I'm old,
Yeah.
um, where it's like 15 years later,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy, and
Yeah.
that's what's wild. So,
Yeah.
staying,
And like you said, these small things aren't small at all,
not at
actually.
all,
You
not at
know,
all.
I was playing at a church, and I'll make this story quick. I was
Yeah,
playing at a church, the church, same church you were going
yeah,
to as well. And I met a lot of people that gave me a lot of opportunity out of that church.
yeah,
Speaking of Keith Harris, like I mentioned before,
yeah. Such an
he,
awesome guy.
you know, I was playing at this church. He was like, "Oh, dang, man, you kind of dope." I was like, "Oh, I know who you are. You kind of dope too." He playing for the Peas. I'm
Yeah,
playing for this church. We
yeah,
hit it off. He said, "Yo, man, like you my brother. You my new
yeah,
brother. I got these gigs. You want to do Will I Am?
yeah,
We doing American Idol. Can you fill in for me?"
yeah.
He's like, "Hey, yo, like,
And
I-
here we go. Here we go.
it's like so like it started out just
Yeah,
him just saying, "Yo, what's up? Like I'm
yeah,
Keith. I'm LJ." It just
yeah,
started out very simple,
yeah,
but then he started plugging me into
yeah,
like sessions and
yeah,
out of a relationship
yeah.
and outside of the music relationship, we're still brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And we're still
And
friends. So
he's not in one way, not he is so great, that his talent is so great, that he's
absolutely,
not intimidated by other people shining.
no
And I think
way,
that's a
no
huge deal.
way.
And that is something that is him, that's you, that's like Lance, it's like all of our great friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when they come to a certain level, they are
Hmm.
not, I mean, they never have been. I think that's just never been
Yeah,
their
right,
spirit.
right.
But it's just I'm just grateful that we had know people like that, because that's a key, I think, to really next level success,
Yes.
is a lack of intimidation, and a
Mm,
desire to expand,
right. Which is
and
why
yeah,
you guys are some of my greatest friends, because I like to hang with people who don't have a scarcity mindset.
yeah,
I
oof,
like
woo,
those kind of people. They
man,
elevate me. They
yeah,
make me think
yeah,
that it's really possible. Like
yeah,
you make me think from Lance to Keith to H Money, Harmonies. Like, we
yeah.
have so many good friends.
So many good
Gabe
friends.
Roll. Like we have so many
Gabe
good
Rowland,
friends
man,
that are so like, nah, bro, this is possible
yeah,
for you.
yeah,
You can do that too.
yeah. Let
You
me
know.
love on Gabe Rowland real
Right.
quick, because dude,
that's
that
my
guy,
good that's my
that
good but
guy,
yes,
oh my
sir.
gosh, like
Killing it right now.
many times, just like, and I even told him the other day, like even this chapter of my life, I owe really to him too. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Because of his belief in me in that season, and his generosity on a platform,
Hmm. Hmm.
because he has the voice that he could crush it and kill it
Yes.
any
Yes.
second, but he would always be generous to say, hey, no, you need to sing this part. And it was like, it's that producer's mindset, that visionary
Yes.
mindset,
Yes.
that just really just said, and he expands, and he's like, no, this is what's best for the moment. This is
Hmm.
what's I want to see more people winning this.
Yep.
A light hand, many hands make the load light.
Yes.
Worship at that time, or the vision, is
Hmm.
the is all of us winning, the team, you
Mhm.
know, and that sort of mindset. And then him knowing that he could do it all by himself,
Man,
but still
uber
deciding
duper
it's
talented.
one of the greatest.
Like
And still
what,
like,
bruh?
yo, let's all be in this
Yes.
together.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
most family, you know, kind of spirit
Mm-hmm.
ever. Like,
Yep. Yep.
so I felt like that's huge, you know.
Yeah.
So shout out to you,
Shout out
Gabe,
to
and
Gabe. We're proud of you, brother.
proud
We
of
are
you
proud of you,
running,
man.
just
He
killing
is
it.
killing. He got some hits with Chris Brown playing on the
Been
radio,
killing
right?
it,
Yeah.
but we're you know, we're seeing it on another level
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He
Oh
been
yeah.
killing
Yeah.
it.
He
So
been killing.
so yeah,
So yeah, I think that relationships
Yep.
are so huge, man.
huge.
You know, you don't want to use people. You don't
No.
want to use your relationships. You want to
Yeah,
nurture them.
yeah,
But I do think that those relationships allow you to kind of get to your level sometimes,
Exactly.
and to bounce things off of. Like
yeah.
I can call Harmony right now and say, "Bro, I have a thought about something. What do you think?"
Mhm.
Right? Or I can call
Yeah.
Keith or
Love him too.
Gabe or yourself. Like I
Yeah.
can call people and say, "Hey man, I'm trying to do this. What are your thoughts on that?" And you'll be
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I like that." Or or Gabe might be like, "I like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like you need
Yeah.
certain
You
relationships
do.
that are going to keep you. And we talked about like we obviously guys, we talk all the time. So just know, like
Yeah,
talk
we
all
do.
the
Yeah, we
time.
do. Yeah, we do.
There's been some season in my life where I was unsure, and you'd be like, "LJ,
Yeah.
don't think that way, bro. Don't
Yeah.
feel that way, man. Like you're an amazing person."
Yeah.
Like I remember when we first met, you said, "Hey man, write your goals down.
Yeah.
Write down your goals and make them plain." He was
Yeah.
like, "The Spirit's really telling me to write. I'll never
You've done
forget
it.
that day as long as I live." And it
True.
changed everything in my mind.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I had plans and goals,
Yeah.
but I didn't truly believe them. But when you write something on a sheet of paper, it's
It
like
does
it
something.
becomes so
Yeah.
real, right?
It does something
And
to
all
you.
those things I wrote came to fruition.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
still
yeah.
coming to fruition, right? So
Absolutely.
relationships are huge, man, in
Yeah.
the music game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge, humongous.
Well, I appreciate you sharing. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, there's so much more to share.
Yes, yes.
But I appreciate you just talking a little bit about some of your initial creativity, the heart behind your creativity.
Absolutely.
Because these are massive, and I think some people they just don't get how the little things are
Mhm.
really, really
Mhm.
important.
Yeah,
Like you said, you know, spending time on the material that you're currently
it is important.
blessed to be able to do, being honoring in the space that you currently are in.
Mhm.
You know, loving on and honoring the people
Mhm.
that are around you, building a community, and then letting it flourish from there.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's like a huge deal.
Yep.
And then caring for yourself.
Yep.
You know, not in a negative way, but
Mhm.
caring for yourself because obviously you are the resource,
Mhm.
and you can't bring something of great quality to somebody else if you know you're struggling in your own spirit to really do that.
At this very moment,
Mhm.
one of the things that I'm really trying, I gotta take trying out of my vocabulary.
Yeah,
because
trying
we're
is a
not-
curse word.
Yeah, trying is a curse
Because
word
you're doing it.
because we're doing. One of the things
Come
that
on.
I'm doing in my life at this current moment is being bold.
Mm. Whew.
I'm starting a podcast with my good brother,
Yeah.
and we're being bold. You know,
Dude.
we're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're
Yeah.
not. This is my first experience doing this, but
Mine too.
I felt called to do this.
Yeah, yeah,
God knows why. You know
I
what I'm
know.
saying?
yeah.
But we believe in it, and
Yes,
we're
we
being
do.
bold in this,
Yeah.
right? I'm starting new chapters in my life, and I'm being bold in those
Yeah,
new
yeah.
chapters. So if I can add one last note, just be bold.
Yeah, and
Be
I'll say to
bold.
you on that one, I would say being bold and be consistent.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I would say like, man, and I think this is like hard as for all of us,
Mhm.
because a lot of people want to be leaders. A lot of people want to be the top chef, the top dog. But I think the thing about it is sometimes people are really good at the theatrics of it. But there's a whole under level. There's an under level
yeah.
of like where you got to do the work.
You say you want that. You say
Yeah.
you say you
can't
want that leadership.
show up and pray the pretty prayers in front of everybody.
Yeah,
You got to
bro.
be there
Mm-mm.
in a little bit, showing up, really, really ready to do the work and not like ready for the comfort things. You
Yeah.
know,
If you're I don't want to cut you
no,
off,
that's
brother.
it. That's it.
If you're okay with doing all the work and maybe getting a little bit of credit, then you're ready to be a leader.
Yeah, I would actually say you ready to do the work and get no credit. That's a leader.
Because
Because the thing
some
like,
days
you
are
don't
very thankless.
Thankless. It's
You don't
like,
get no, man, you killed
Yeah.
it. You don't get no. You was guilty. You don't get no man.
Yeah.
You don't get nothing. You
It's
don't get
true.
nothing.
It's true.
Sometimes,
It's
not
true.
all the time,
Yeah,
but sometimes you are doing a lot of work behind the doors
exactly.
that no one ever sees.
And I would even say, and this is really crazy, is it even like it even can't even go into the other side where it's like people are saying that you didn't do anything,
yeah,
that you can be
Yeah.
completely ignored and
Yeah.
completely
yeah,
like, and also
'Cause
said
they
like,
didn't see
you
the
actually
work.
hurt me,
yeah. They didn't
Um,
see the work.
Yeah, because sometimes that role of leader is really, really not valued in our culture, as much because it takes
Wow.
a sacrifice, and also it's misconstrued because leadership is actually service.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think if we understand that, then
You
in
got it.
those moments when you're sort of not giving any credit, or you're maybe facing an attack, or things like that, you
Talk it up
will.
to service, bro.
Yeah, because because the heart of a leader
Mm-hmm.
is almost the heart of a person that wants, almost like a heart of a mom. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Almost, or a father. It's like you want your child or your baby to thrive
Yeah,
at all costs,
yeah, Yeah.
and you are gonna work to the bone to
Mhm.
make sure that child, without a second thought.
Yep.
And so I think that those that are called to true leadership, are those people that are called to not desire those things. Even though, like I said, sometimes those things feel really good. I'll say this one thing last thing, and then we'll roll out. But there's this really amazing a leader and speaker. Her name is Christine
Oh
Kane.
yeah.
And so she and I shared this with my team. They like, she was talking about how, like, whenever she does for sort of roles that are in front of people on the platform or on a stage, and she was saying that how sometimes the applause, that's all you're gonna get.
Wow.
And it's like, you do the thing, you
Wow.
work to those levels, you spend the 4, 8 hour, 8, 10, 12, 24, whatever hours, and then you get the applause, and that's it. That's all you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And so she says that as a leader, she spends time really working towards like higher level things that she feels like are gonna be just really a blessing to in her spirit and to her God, and to God, and and then she's doing things outside of those big moments on stages and platforms,
Yeah.
to make sure that she has like moments that are really going to be special.
Yeah. Yeah.
That she doesn't lose her credit. Her credit is really going towards a higher call.
Yep.
So I was like,
and-
oh, that's
And
incredible.
don't be discouraged in your leadership too.
Don't be
That is a
discouraged.
part of creativity too, right? Like,
Yeah.
that is, like, there are certain people who can be leaders who are just good at it.
Yeah,
they're just born to lead.
Yeah.
And that's their creative powers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they know how to navigate people. They know how to navigate, attitudes and characters.
They
You know
do.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I hate to, do this again, but you are a really good leader
Oh, I
because you
appreciate that.
navigate people's attitudes or discomforts or their uncomfortable, moments, right? Like, how to get them to say, no, you can do this.
Yeah.
You got this. You don't have to worry about, the person look like, you got this. You can do this.
I
I
love
think-
seeing people win.
Yes.
Like, some
yes,
people
yes.
don't love seeing people win, and I think it's crazy because I feel like that's the best way.
That's a whole nother topic,
Yeah.
dog. Like,
It is.
like,
Okay,
we gotta kind of
Out of respect to your time, because I'm sure your commute is probably done now. You've been sitting in your car for 15 minutes.
Right.
Um,
Oh, we'd have been in this thing 30
no,
something
no, no.
minutes.
But I think this just shows that we're really passionate about this, and
We're passionate about
speaking
creative-
creatively.
Yeah.
And I think you've shared a lot. I mean, I think this is a topic that we're gonna bring back.
Dive in some more. Yeah.
But speaking
'Cause
creatively,
I want to hear
what it
about
takes.
your creative process.
I'd love
and
to
how
share
you
my finite
create-
knowledge, as we say.
Yeah,
My
right.
finite,
Yeah, right.
limited knowledge. I would love to share.
But thank you for opening up this opportunity for me
Absolutely.
to share my
Yeah.
little processes, and again, just being bold
Yeah.
in 2024 and 2025 coming.
Yeah.
Like, we want to be bold in our creativity and lead well and do well and serve people.
Absolutely.
And that's my goal.
Absolutely.
That's my goal.
Thank you guys for tuning in and watching.
Yeah.
My name is Larry,
My name is LJ.
and we are the Wisdom Well Podcast. God bless you guys.
See you soon.
Peace.